Some philosophers have challenged the traditional tripartite conditions of knowledge that has governed epistemology for millennia. According to this group of philosophers, justified true belief does not constitute the sufficient conditions of knowledge. Some of them argue that it is possible for all the tripartite traditional criteria to be present, and yet it does not constitute knowledge. The gamut of the argument is that there is the failure of justified true belief to constitute knowledge. Justified belief can be false and in a piece of reasoning. False justified belief can support conclusions that are only true by coincidence. Some of these philosophers are Alexander Mugnon, Bertrand Russell, Edmund Gettier. But the most popular philosopher who draws significant attention to this problem is Edmund Gettier, and the Gettier challenge has come to be known as the problem of the fourth condition of knowledge. But for the sake of brevity, clarity, and simplicity, we shall posit one of Russell's examples, which he uses to demonstrate why justified true belief may not be knowledge. According to Russell's, it is very easy to give examples of true beliefs that are not knowledge. There is the man who looks at a clock which is not going, though he thinks it is, and who happens to look at it the moment when it is right. This one acquires a true belief as to the time of the day, but cannot be said to have knowledge. This man is also justified because the standard instrument for measuring time justifies the time of the day. Various attempted solutions to the issues raised about the tripartite conditions have their own limitation. Some of the solutions are bereft of convictions, while others are fraught with criticism. Now, given the inadequacy of solutions to these problems, is knowledge possible? If yes, what are the grounds of knowledge? Is knowledge possible? While some philosophers raise doubt about the validity of knowledge claims, others believe that knowledge is indubitable. In this section, we will study the problems and grounds of knowledge. First, we start with the problem of knowledge. The problem of knowledge. One of the major problems in epistemology is skepticism. Skepticism is the partial or total denial of knowledge. It raises doubt with respect to the possibility or validity of human knowledge. Philosophical skeptics doubt whether anything can be known. In this way, they pose challenges to traditional epistemology. These challenges are directed, amongst others, against all of our beliefs about the external world, our memories, and about the future. Why these doubts? The skeptics have their reasons. Ordinarily, we claim to have indomitable knowledge about people, places, and events, about the past, present, and future, and about science and the ordinary business of life. For the skeptics, there are good reasons for supposing that we cannot know the kind of things that most people think they can know. For them, there is no knowledge in the world that is so certain that no reasonable man can doubt. The reason is that many things we assume as certain are on close scrutiny found to be full of apparent contradictions that only a great amount of thought enables us to know what it is that we really may believe. When this happens, we become suspicious about other claims to certainty in knowledge. This leads to skepticism about knowledge claims. One other good reason for supposing that we cannot know the kind of things that most people think they can know is that human beings are fallible. According to the skeptics, there is also the possibility of pervasive error. In our knowledge claims such as hallucination, illusion, dream, problems of induction, and other minds, these problems mar veridical perception of supposed knowledge claims. Hence, things may not be the way they appear to us because of the possibility of error in knowledge claims. The skeptics suspend judgments by refraining from affirming or denying knowledge claims. Instead, they raise doubt about these knowledge claims by questioning the accounts given by appearance. They maintain that the degree of certainty adduced to a certain state of affair warrants equal degree of its uncertainty. According to Sextus Empiricus, to every proposition, an equal proposition is opposed. However, the skepticism of Gorgias subscribed to epistemic nihilism, that is, knowledge is not possible. The aim of philosophical skeptics is to draw attention, among others, 1. to those factors that can hinder true knowledge, to warn us against epistemic simplicity and gullibility. And 3. The susceptibility of knowledge claims to error. In this way, skepticism helps to filter knowledge from opinion, truth from falsehood, and bring us nearer to knowledge and the truth. Skepticism triggers our epistemic injury. Although it may not guarantee us certitude in knowledge, it prevents us from falling into epistemic error so easily. Most epistemological works are attempts to respond to the skeptics. For example, the different schools in epistemology such as common sense realism, representative realism, idealism, and phenomenalism are various attempts to respond to and counter skeptics' doubts about knowledge. Following the anti-skeptics, if knowledge is possible, then what are the grounds of such knowledge? The possibility of human knowledge. Some philosophers and philosophical movements agree that knowledge is possible. For example, Pythagoras subscribed to relative knowledge in his Homo Mensuras when he held that man is the measure of all things, but we shall maximize our attention in treating objective knowledge. In this way, we shall examine rationalism and empiricism as the grounds of knowledge. Both arose partly as reactions to skepticism, but we shall only treat their central tenets briefly. Rationalism. Rationalism is an attempt to answer some epistemological questions. How does knowledge arise and what mode of knowledge are valid? It partly arose to respond to skepticism, epistemic relativism, and dogmatism. It is concerned with the sources and justification of knowledge. According to rationalists, the principal ground of human knowledge is the unaided human reason. For the rationalists, the senses are deceptive, and so knowledge from the senses cannot be reliable. They hold that reason is the foundation of certainty and knowledge, and that the human mind has the capacity to establish truth about the nature of reality by reason alone, independent experience. According to rationalism, knowledge is innate. It is a priori. It can be acquired by recollection, intuition, and deduction. Rationalist philosophers include Plato, René Descartes, Benedict Spinoza, and Gottfried Leibniz. Empiricism arose as a reaction to the same issues that generated rationalism. But in addition to these issues, it also arose as a reaction to rationalism itself. According to the empiricists, knowledge is sense-based. This means objective and reliable knowledge is gotten from the senses. In the submission of empiricism, the human mind at birth is a tabula rasa. That is, it is like a clean slate or blackboard. It is only experience that writes on the mind and fills it with knowledge. Hence, for the empiricist, for knowledge to be attained and justified, it requires reference to experience. Knowledge is therefore a posteriori. This means it comes from and depends on experience. This experience is the sole source of information about the external world. The most renowned empiricist philosophers are John Locke, George Berkeley, and Dave Hume. Now that we have presented some attempts to validate knowledge, then what are the sources of knowledge? Additional sources of knowledge. The objective ground of knowledge just examined are also sources of knowledge. In addition to these, we shall examine briefly a few other sources. Introspection. Introspection is knowledge of our own thoughts and feelings. It is knowledge of the self at the moment. Individually, we know what we are thinking about or feeling right now. For example, I know whether or not I have a headache, whether or not I am happy or sad. People can only infer what I feel from my countenance. Some of the problems with this source of knowledge are 1. One can distortedly explain his personal experience to others. 2. Because it is possible for an individual to pretend and put up an appearance, a posture, contrary to what he actually feels or experiences. People can infer wrongly his personal experience. 3. Arising from the 2 points made above, we cannot know for sure the feelings of others, what is in their minds. Memory. Memory knowledge is the knowledge we acquire by remembering events of the past. Our memory or remembering or recalling of knowledge of the past may be quite vivid. For example, I may recall that I attended a party yesterday. I wrote first semester examination 2 weeks ago. I engaged in a scuffle with Mr. Kelvin on April 24, 2016. I have a newborn baby on a certain day or lost somebody on a certain day, and so on. Some problems with memory is that memory can be fallible and mistaken. We can misremember. Intuition. So people claim to have knowledge by intuition. We acquire knowledge by intuition through insight or a sudden flash. This knowledge presents itself vividly to the claimer. It is immediately apprehended. For example, one may claim to have intuitive knowledge that the test will not hold tomorrow, that Jane stole the missing wallet, that it will not rain tomorrow. Some of the problems associated with intuitive knowledge are 1. Intuitions may conflict. 2. No other person except the claimer can have privileged access. 3. The claim to knowledge by intuition does not provide evidence that the claimer possesses this knowledge. Authority. Knowledge from authority is also known as knowledge from testimony. Most of our knowledge claims depend on or come from other people. They are the products of information and learning we acquire from other people who are either a competent authority or trusted for the validity of the information they pass. The knowledge we acquire from books and media are examples of authoritative knowledge. For example, we know that the Earth is spherical, that there are other planets, that Johannesburg is the capital of South Africa. The knowledge of our own birth, parents, and tribes are other examples. Some of the problems with these sources of knowledge include 1. Some of the knowledge we claim to have may not be true. Some may be mistaken while others may be dubious. 2. It may be in error. Revelation. Revelation is a supernatural source of knowledge. Most people claim that they have knowledge revealed to them. This claim to knowledge is most common among religious people. It takes heresy or faithlessness to question it. Such knowledge is derived through vision, dream, or reflection. This source of knowledge allies with intuition and authority, in that it may be gotten through sudden flash and holy books respectively. Some of the problems associated with revelation as a source of knowledge include it is subjective, it may be dubious, it may conflict. Enough of epistemology. Axiology. Axiology is another main branch of philosophy. It's also called philosophy of value. Axiology is an amalgam of 2 Greek words, axio, which means value, and logos, which means discourse. Put together, axiology etymologically means value discourse.